Sometimes, no matter how much effort we put into a strategy, it just doesn't seem to work. Maybe your child isn't making the progress you expected, or maybe things even seem to be getting worse. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Every child learns differently, and sometimes we need to tweak our approach to help them succeed. In this video, we'll go through a simple step-by-step framework to help you troubleshoot ABA strategies, adjust them when needed, and know when it's time to reach out for help. The first step is to check your expectations. One of the most frustrating things for parents is when things seem to get worse before they get better. But here's the thing, that can actually be a sign that the strategy is working. For example, let's say your child is used to getting what they want by crying or yelling. Now you're teaching them to use their words and ask instead. At first, they may cry even more because they're realizing that their old way doesn't work anymore. This is called an extinction burst. It's your child's subconscious way of testing if you really mean what you're trying to do. What's important here is giving the strategy enough time to work before assuming it's failing. Some changes happen quickly, but others take days, weeks, or even months. Patience is key. The second step is to figure out exactly what's not working. If you're feeling frustrated, take a step back and ask yourself, is my child struggling to understand what's expected? Are they getting frustrated or upset during the process? Or are they just not interested in participating? For example, let's say your child has frequent meltdowns when it's time to leave the playground. You've been using a countdown timer because you were told that giving a warning would help, but instead of making things easier, it seems to make things worse. The moment the timer goes off, your child screams, drops to the ground, and refuses to leave. At this point, it's easy to think this just isn't working. But before throwing out the strategy completely, let's do some troubleshooting. Ask yourself, does your child understand what the timer means? If they don't yet grasp that the timer signals the end of an activity, they may need extra teaching or a visual to go along with it. Is the transition itself too difficult? If they're hyper-focused on an activity, they might need a more gradual shift, like a last thing routine where they get to pick one final action before leaving. Could the intervention itself be triggering frustration? Some kids become more anxious watching a countdown and do better with a different type of transition, like a special goodbye ritual or a fun race to the car. In addition to looking at the pieces of the intervention, consider the way you're delivering it. Could something about the way you're using the intervention impact its effectiveness? Ask yourself, am I presenting the instructions in a clear and simple way? Is my child getting the right amount of help? Too little support can leave them frustrated, but too much might make them dependent. And is there something about the timing of the task that makes it harder for them? For example, let's say your child refuses to take a bath, even though you've created a structured routine and use a visual schedule to show each step. You've followed all the advice, giving a 5-minute warning, using reinforcement, and keeping bath time predictable. But instead of cooperating, your child whines, avoids the bathroom, or has a full meltdown every time it's bath time. Before making any changes, you need to consider how your delivery of the intervention might be impacting its success. What's your tone of voice when you're telling your child it's time to take a bath? If your tone sounds frustrated or rushed, your child might associate bath time with stress. Try using a light, playful tone, for example, saying, "Time to splash like a dolphin," instead of, "Come on now, take your bath." Are you making direct eye contact or standing too close? Some children feel pressured by intense eye contact or towering body language. Instead, try standing to the side or using a gentle gesture to guide them toward the bathroom. And are you giving the direction at the right moment? If your child is fully engaged in another activity, immediately switching to bath time may feel abrupt. Instead, offer a transition step. For example, letting them bring a toy into the bath or doing a short sensory activity first. Sometimes the intervention itself is solid. It just needs a small shift in how it's being delivered. By adjusting your tone, timing, and body language, you can reduce resistance and make daily routines easier for both you and your child. Now that you have an idea of what might be going wrong, the third step is to make a small change and test it out. If you think they don't understand the expectation, simplify it. Instead of saying, wait your turn, try showing them a visual cue or model what waiting looks like. If they're getting frustrated, add support. Maybe they need a countdown timer to help them see when their turn is coming. And if they aren't motivated, adjust the reinforcement. Maybe they don't care about what you're offering, but they'd be more engaged if they got to choose a different reinforcer. The key is to make just one change at a time so you can see what actually helps. Try your adjusted approach for a few days and watch what happens. Is your child engaging more? Are they making progress, even just a little? Is their frustration level going down? If yes, great, keep going. If not, it's time to try another adjustment or check in with your BCBA. Sometimes small adjustments aren't enough, and that's okay. Knowing when to problem solve on your own and when to reach out for help is an important part of the process. You can adjust on your own if the strategy is mostly working but needs minor tweaks. Your child is showing some progress, but at a slower pace. Or the challenge is small, like needing more motivation or clearer instructions. It's time to contact your BCBA if your child is getting more frustrated instead of improving, the intervention isn't working at all, even after adjustments, new or worse behaviors are showing up, or you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about what to do next. Think of your BCBA as your co-pilot. They're here to guide you and adjust the plan as needed. If something isn't working, don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, just because a strategy isn't working right away doesn't mean it won't work at all. Problem solving is part of the learning process. Small adjustments can lead to big progress, and you're not alone. Reach out for help when you need it. The most important thing, keep going. Your child is learning every day, and with a little patience and flexibility, you'll find what works best for them.